from the question of how, there also is a larger question of why this happened. And there are many unknowns as of now, as of when we sit here, about the alleged shooter. But what are some of the reasons and who are people blaming here?
I'm glad you asked. So together with the team at Forbes, we listed a list of possible reasons that could be the root cause of Donald Trump's shooting. It's not surprise to anyone that the top reason was a deranged shooter at 59%, followed closely by 50% or half of voters who said political polarization. But where the picture gets interesting, and you see also strong partisan splits, is in terms of who's to blame for the rhetoric and the environment that led to this shooting. And actually, 44% said that Donald Trump and his own rhetoric is one of the root causes of what happened. 34%, by comparison, said it's the rhetoric of the Democratic Party and the Biden campaign. So they're not far off, but they're still about 10 points aside, and it reflects a long-held view that, at least up until now, in past events, Trump has done more to use overheated rhetoric than the Democrats have and Biden's campaign has. That doesn't absolve the Democrats and Biden, and we'll get into some other questions that we ask in a second. But that was an interesting picture. Above and beyond that, people also say that mental health issues are at play. 41% lack of gun control, 39%, and then 30% blame the news media and the rhetoric of the news media as well.
So dive a little deeper there. I mean, it's no secret how politicized things have gotten within the past really 8 years, and the rhetoric, the political tone has really notched up quite a few levels. You're saying people from both sides of the aisle think that Republicans and Democrats need to turn the temperature down.
That's right. That's right, and that came across clearly in the poll. It will be available to everyone to see, but we also put forward a series of statements and ask people to agree or disagree with these statements, which are largely things that observers have pointed to as having happened. And to the statement, radicalization and political violence in America has been on the rise the last few years. 89% of Americans said that is true, and they agreed with that statement. 89% of Americans don't agree on pretty much anything in modern polling, but they agree that radicalization and political violence is on the rise.
I
Above
mean,
and
that's
beyond that, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to note, I mean, that's a really startling statistic there, that something that many, most, almost all Americans agree on is that political violence is on the rise. And I feel like when you see some of these moments that really transcend party lines, there is a question of, will this unify the country? Do people feel that it will?
So I think that the expectation of people is that there'll be a moment of unity, and then it'll dissipate, right? We asked the question, do you think the shooting of Donald Trump will work to unify the country and curb overheated rhetoric, or will it divide the country further? 41% say it'll work to unify the country. 59% say it will divide the country further. There are big differences between parties. Democrats and independents are on edge. 72% of Democrats say it will divide the country further, including also 62% of independents, whereas 58% of Republicans say it will work to unify the country. But the basic point here is that people are saying, tone it down. And they're sending a clear message to several stakeholders within the political system to do that. To the news media, 77% say that the current media environment demonizes political candidates. Again, that's 3/4 of voters saying you've got to do better. 2/3 said Trump has promoted heated rhetoric, polarization, and political violence in the past, and has got to do better going forward. A similar number, 64%, said the core message of the Biden campaign and the Democratic Party that Trump is a threat to democracy and liberty and autocratic in waiting, they say that it's gone too far, 64%. And they also, 58% say that calling Trump a threat to democracy and an authoritarian in waiting going forward is a form of incitement of political violence. And that rhetoric is just too much. So, regardless of who you put in front of voters, they're disappointed in everyone. And they're basically saying you're all to blame, almost in equal proportions, for getting us to this point. And what they want going forward, they want a focus on the future, a focus on issues, rather than a focus on heated rhetoric, right? And how we got to where we are.
I think